I never thought I would be sharing my story, but life can be unexpected. My name is Alex, and I'm 40 years old. I've worked as a financial analyst for almost 20 years. I'm a calm, logical person, which has always helped me in tough situations, especially when my personal life fell apart. I was married to Laura, who is 38. She's smart and charming, and for years, our marriage felt perfect. We had a comfortable life, though we didn't have kids, something we tried for but couldn't make happen. Laura worked as an event planner, but decided to take a break because her job was stressful. She promised it would only be temporary, and I supported her because I loved her and believed in us. Things started to feel off about a year ago. Laura became distant. She spent more time at the gym and with friends, and when I asked her about her day, she'd get defensive. It felt like she was shutting me out, but I couldn't figure out why. One night, while Laura was in the shower, her phone buzzed. Normally, I wouldn't have looked, but something told me to check. It was a message from someone named Mark. "Can't wait to see you tomorrow, babe." My stomach sank. I opened the messages, and there it was, proof that she was having an affair with Mark, her personal trainer. They had been together for months, planning a future without me. When Laura came out of the shower, I handed her the phone and calmly asked her to explain. She tried to deny it at first, but when I read the messages aloud, she stopped. Then she said, "I want a divorce." There was no apology, no regret. She admitted she was unhappy and wanted to leave me for Mark. Then she demanded half of everything, the house, the savings, all of it. She said she deserved it because she had given up her career for our marriage. I stayed calm, though inside I was devastated. What Laura didn't know was that most of our assets weren't in my name. Years ago, my dad suggested putting the house and savings in his name for financial protection. It seemed unnecessary at the time, but now it was a lifesaver. On paper, I didn't own much, just a small bank account, my car, and some minor investments. "If you want a divorce, we'll go through mediation," I told her. I agreed to give her half of what was in my name, knowing it wasn't what she expected. Laura seemed confident she'd walk away with a lot, but she had no idea what was coming. During mediation, Laura hired an aggressive lawyer. I chose a quiet but experienced attorney who understood financial matters like mine. When it was time to disclose assets, I provided everything I owned. Laura and her lawyer were shocked at how little there was. "Where's the rest?" she demanded angrily. "That's everything," I replied. They thought I was hiding money, so they hired a forensic accountant to investigate. But I wasn't worried. Everything was legal and transparent. The longer the investigation took, the more frustrated Laura became. She accused me of lying and manipulating her, but she couldn't prove anything. Her frustration boiled over into rumors. She told our friends I was abusive and had hidden money throughout our marriage. She even posted vague but dramatic comments on social media about betrayal. It was hard to watch, but I kept my focus. The people who mattered knew the truth. Then, Laura tried to drag my parents into it. She claimed they were helping me hide assets and demanded access to their financial records. Her lawyer even filed motions to subpoena my dad's accounts. Thankfully, my lawyer stopped it. The judge ruled my parents' finances were irrelevant. Laura's case was falling apart, and her behavior became erratic. She showed up at my office one day, yelling and causing a scene. She threatened to ruin my career if I didn't give her what she wanted. Security had to escort her out. It was humiliating, but showed how desperate she was. Meanwhile, her relationship with Mark was crumbling. Friends told me Mark was having second thoughts. The affair had hurt his reputation, and he was pulling away. Laura's plans for a new life with him were falling apart. I remember when Laura tried to negotiate with me personally, late one evening after mediation. She showed up at my apartment, uninvited, claiming she wanted to talk things out. Her tone was calm at first, but as the conversation progressed, her desperation became clear. She tried to guilt me, saying I was leaving her with nothing, that I owed her for all the sacrifices she had made. I calmly reminded her that she had been the one to step away from her career, a decision I had never pushed her into. Her face flushed with anger, and she stormed out, slamming the door behind her. At the court hearing, Laura testified first. She cried, saying she had sacrificed everything for me and accused me of hiding assets. But then my lawyer presented evidence of her affair: texts, photos, and witness statements. Her story fell apart. She tried to downplay it, but the damage was done. When I testified, I stayed calm. I explained how my assets had been in my dad's name for years and how I had been transparent during the divorce. I also shared evidence of Laura's erratic behavior and her attempts to smear my name. My lawyer presented everything clearly, and the judge seemed to appreciate my honesty. The ruling was in my favor. Laura's demands for half the house and savings were denied. She was awarded a small amount of alimony, just enough to cover her legal fees. The judge noted her affair and lack of financial contribution as key factors. Laura stormed out of the courtroom in tears, yelling that the system was unfair. Outside, she had a public meltdown, accusing me of cheating her. She said she would appeal, but with her funds drained, it seemed unlikely. Mutual friends told me she was borrowing money from family and losing her social circle because of all the drama. For me, the outcome was bittersweet. I felt relieved, but also sad. I had loved Laura and believed in our marriage. Seeing her self-destruct was painful, but I knew I had done everything I could to protect myself. As I moved on, I decided to focus on rebuilding my life. Therapy became a lifeline for me, helping me process the betrayal and the emotional toll of the divorce. My therapist encouraged me to rediscover hobbies and passions I had neglected during the marriage. I started painting again, something I hadn't done since college, and it brought me a sense of peace I hadn't felt in years. I also reconnected with old friends. Many of them had reached out during the divorce, offering support and a listening ear. Slowly, I began to rebuild my social life, surrounding myself with people who genuinely cared about me. It wasn't easy, but each step forward felt like a small victory. Laura, on the other hand, seemed to spiral further. I heard through mutual friends that her relationship with Mark officially ended not long after the court ruling. He had distanced himself completely, and Laura was left to pick up the pieces of a life she had gambled away. She moved in with her parents who, despite supporting her initially, were growing tired of her constant complaints and erratic behavior. One day, I received an unexpected message from Laura. It was short and to the point. "I'm sorry for everything." I stared at the screen, unsure of how to respond. Part of me wanted to forgive her, to let go of the anger I still carried, but another part of me remembered the pain she had caused. In the end, I chose not to reply. Her apology felt like too little, too late. Now, as I look back on everything, I realize how much I've grown. The experience taught me the importance of protecting myself, both emotionally and financially. It also reminded me of the value of true connections, the friends and family who stood by me when I needed them most. While the scars of the past remain, they no longer define me. I'm finally in a place where I can look to the future with hope and optimism. And for the first time in years, I feel truly free. That freedom I've learned is the